It was the 1997 Monaco Grand Prix when a midfield team ruined Michael Schumacher. Rain was lightly pouring, with the track damp and dry in different parts. Olivier Panis timed his pit stops brilliantly and kept his car running on the track. In the middle, he saw Michael crash or retire after struggling with grip transitions. This was Panis's chance, and he grabbed it by winning the race. Now the question is, how can a midfield car win the race? That car's engine wasn't strong, the driver wasn't as skilled as Michael, so how did he win the race? Well, here, tyres play a major role. This aspect of F1 cars could give unexpected results to F1 fans, and could ruin frontrunners like Michael. So, if you want to enjoy Formula 1, you have to understand different aspects of its tyres. There are numerous varieties of Pirelli tyres, and each of these tyres is suitable for numerous conditions and strategies. In this video, we are going to cover everything. If it excites you, smash the subscribe button and become a part of our community where we discuss different aspects of this sport. Pirelli. Back in 1997, Formula 1 had multiple suppliers like Bridgestone and Michelin. Teams could pick a tyre supplier and companies would develop rubber for their partner teams. This setting had its benefits and drawbacks. For example, this led to incredible development races, but with it, there was no regard for safety. F1 was enduring these drawbacks when in 2005, these multiple suppliers humiliated them in front of the world. In the US Grand Prix, Michelin brought unsafe tyres that couldn't survive Indianapolis's high-speed banked corner. This made F1 enraged, and they decided that enough was enough. There would only be one tyre supplier. In 2007, they signed a contract with Bridgestone. And then in 2011, they collaborated with Pirelli. Now things got interesting. F1 officials put a weird demand in their contract with Pirelli. They didn't want durable, long-lasting tyres for their teams, but a different set of tyres that couldn't last for long. They didn't want their drivers to get comfortable with their tyres, but instead remain on edge during the whole race and keep making different tyre strategies to win the title. This aspect added unpredictability, frustrated radio messages, and brilliant strategies in this pinnacle of motorsport. For all of this, Pirelli gave Formula 1 different sorts of tyres. Let's discuss them in detail. Slick tyres. First of all, there is a slick tyre type that has 6 sub-categories. These tyres are used in dry race conditions. Pirelli has numbered the 6 slick compounds from C1 to C6. And we have to understand these 6 ones. C1. Think of the C1 as the ultimate endurance tyre. It's the hardest compound, and it laughs in the face of extreme heat and abrasive tracks like Bahrain or Silverstone. Drivers can push lap after lap without much fear of degradation, but they have to struggle with the grip because it takes ages to warm up, and even when it's ready, it doesn't bite into the track like softer compounds. So, it is great for marathon stints, but terrible if you are hunting quick lap times. C2. Slightly softer than the C1, the C2 is still a tough customer. It's built for high-energy tracks where corners shred rubber, such as Suzuka or Barcelona. Teams love it for its durability, especially on hot race days, when softer compounds would melt away. But like its harder sibling, the C1 struggles in qualifying. Where it shines is in strategy. Keep it on longer, pit fewer times, and watch rivals suffer with their fragile, softer tyres. Mundram. The C3 is the safe middle ground of the hard compounds as it balances durability with a bit more grip. You'll often see it as the hard tyre in a race weekend lineup. It's a tyre that teams rely on when they want consistency, not fireworks. A driver on C3s won't set the timing sheets alight, but they'll grind away steadily, waiting for their moment to pounce when rivals' softer tyres give up. C4. The C4 is Formula 1's Swiss Army knife. Often picked as the medium compound on a race weekend, it's the one that works just about everywhere. It warms up fairly quickly, provides decent grip, and still lasts long enough to be a safe race tyre. That's why Pirelli uses it as a reference point. If F1 had a tyre that could race on every track without too much drama, it's this one. Maybe every driver would want to be on this tyre for their entire race, but F1's rule of mandatory pit stops and tyre changes during the race makes it impossible. C5. Now, we're moving into soft territory. The C5 is grippy, quick to heat up, and fantastic for qualifying laps where fractions of a second matter. On a flying lap, it gives drivers that sticky, razor-sharp feeling of control. But, unfortunately, it doesn't last long. Push too hard, and the C5 will grain, blister, or simply die on you. Teams usually gamble on it when they want a short, aggressive stint to attack, pass, and then switch to something tougher. C6. The C6 is pure speed. This is the softest, stickiest compound Pirelli makes, and it's designed almost exclusively for maximum grip on smooth tracks like Monaco or Singapore. Drivers adore it in qualifying because it gives them superhero levels of traction. But the catch is brutal. It degrades incredibly fast, sometimes in just a handful of laps. Teams use it for those glory runs where pace matters more than anything else, knowing it won't stick around for long. Now, there are a lot of choices. If all 6 of these were in a race, it would be like a chemistry exam for teams to decide the type of tire. That's why FIA officials and Pirelli came up with a unique setting: 3 tires rule. Out of these 6 compounds, only 3 are selected for any specific race. This simplifies the concept of tires for drivers and fans, as Pirelli named these 3 tires as hard, medium, and soft. You might have seen white, yellow, and red stripes on different tires of F1 drivers. Or, if you are a fan of F1 TV broadcasts, you might have seen a small colored circle with each driver's name. That color is telling us which tire the driver is on. White color is for hard tires, yellow is for medium, and red is for soft. I hope the basics of this 3-tire rule are clear now, because we are now getting into a bit trickier part of this rule. You know, Pirelli has to choose which 3-tire compounds would be suitable for a race. He assessed the weather, track conditions, and its layout to decide 3 tires from its 6 compounds. In this selection process, he sometimes has to make some weird decisions. For example, in the Spanish Grand Prix, Pirelli would choose C2 as hard, C3 as medium, and C4 as soft, because the Barcelona track is hard on tires. So, the real soft tires of his collection couldn't work on this track. But, in the Monaco Grand Prix, the situation is entirely different. Pirelli might choose C4, C5, and C6, since the track is low degrading, and needs softer rubber for grip. So, C4 became hard on this track. Weekend rules. Now, it is time for some weekend rules. Every weekend, each driver gets 13 sets of tires, 2 sets of hard, 3 sets of mediums, and 8 sets of softs. The number can vary because of the sprint weekend or race conditions. In fact, in the rain, the whole scenario regarding tires changed entirely. Wet tires. For rainy conditions, slick tires became unreliable. So Pirelli has come up with 2 types of tires. One is intermediate or green tires, and the other is full wet or blue ones. Intermediates. The 2011 Canadian Grand Prix is remembered as the longest race in F1 history, as there was torrential rain and multiple safety cars. Conditions were constantly changing from heavy rain to drying patches and back again. This is where the intermediates became king. They helped Jenson Button move from the last position to snatch the championship title. So, what are intermediates? They are the go-to wet tire for mixed or light rain conditions. They have grooves that channel water away, giving much more grip than slicks on a damp track, but they are not as extreme as full wets. The beauty of the inters is their versatility, as they can handle a drying track as well as a steady drizzle. It means drivers can sometimes stay out on them for half the race if the weather is unpredictable. The trade-off is that they wear out quickly if the track dries too much, and if the rain suddenly gets heavy, they will start to aquaplane. Full wets. Full wets are the lifeline when the heavens truly open. These are the most extreme rain tires, with deep grooves designed to push away 65 liters of water per second at 300 kilometers per hour. That makes them the safest choice in monsoon conditions, where visibility and aquaplaning are the biggest dangers. They are excellent for cutting through standing water, but there is a catch. They are incredibly slow on anything but heavy rain. On a drying circuit, full wets overheat almost instantly, turning the car into a sliding mess. Because of this, teams avoid them unless conditions are dire, which is why you rarely see full wet races anymore. Red flags often come out before drivers can truly lean on them. However, it doesn't mean they are useless. In fact, these wet tires made Michael Schumacher the Rainmaster in 1996. It was his first race, and he shocked the whole world by winning it on wet tires. Now let's quickly understand the dark aspects of tire management. If a driver fails to understand their tire and makes some mistakes, this could lead to 3 dreadful conditions that are nightmares for every engineer. 3 deadly conditions. The first one is thermal degradation. In it, a driver pushed a hot tire for a long time. When it overheats, the compound breaks down. Once that happens, grip just vanishes gradually because the tire's structure has cooked. You will often hear drivers complain that the tire has fallen off the cliff. That's thermal degradation. The second is blistering. It happens when the inside of the tire overheats faster than the surface. The trapped heat causes the inner layers of rubber to expand, forming bubbles under the tread. Eventually, those blisters burst, leaving rough, uneven patches. This kills grip and makes the car slide. The third condition is the exact opposite of it. Graining usually occurs when the tire is too cold to bite properly into the track. Instead of gripping, the tire surface scrubs along the asphalt. ripping off tiny rubber shreds that then stick back onto the tread. These little rubber grains create a rough, pebbly layer on the tire, reducing grip massively. Every engineer has to avoid these conditions with a perfect tire management strategy. This is the whole twisted game of F1.